Today is Independence Day here in the US of A. Welcome to another edition, a special. Don't do that. Don't do that. Welcome to a special edition of Uncut History. How's everybody doing tonight? We don't normally stream on Tuesdays, but we got to do it. It's the history holiday of the United States, like the one holiday you can dress like this and not too many people question you. Not too many. It doesn't matter. I've been at home all day, so I can walk around like this all day. I totally dress like this all day. Why are you looking at me? Yeah, what do you mean? Yeah, I like sweating my butt off. I do. I promise. Well, just gonna tune in. Maji Chan just popped in briefly. They're at work right now, but happy Independence Day! Oh, the Iron Age historian tagline. Oh, and a super chat. Thank you very much. Happy 4th of July, Iron Age historian. I appreciate that. First super chat, actually, I think I've ever gotten. Because I am setting up right now. I'm in the process of setting up the monetization for the channel. We got Wrangler also. Whole lot of hula. Indeed. Before we continue, though, I must give you the greatest speech of all time. Somewhere at an undisclosed airbase, which some of the comments says is a U.S. airbase in Germany. This apparently happened. I got to play it.
Perhaps it is fate that today is the 4th of July.
No, it's not.
Again, be fighting for our freedom. Not from tyranny, oppression, or persecution, but from annihilation. And should we win the day will no longer be remembered as an American holiday, but a day when the world declared in one voice, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not perish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
Woo!
Yeah! In our common interest.
Oh, God. Hold on. I love that. I don't know. I got a kick out of that. I saw it on the Twitter, and I was just laughing. I don't know if that was from this year or from a few years past, but somebody shared it. Oh, God. That was such a stupid film, but a fun, stupid film. I actually haven't watched the movie today. Huh. Oh, well. There's still time. I still got a few hours after stream. It's only a 2-hour film, right? Independence Day, ID4. That's also just a weird tension. And Wrangler dropped 420 for fireworks. Yes, we won't be actually doing fireworks in the house. We won't do that. But good chance you might hear a couple booms before we're done to stream tonight. Anyway, to celebrate, I'm breaking one of my rules because this is not the official episode. It is an official episode, but special episode. I'm breaking one of my rules. I'm breaking out some alcohol. Hey, we got to be authentic. We're going to do some true Monongahela rye whiskey from West Overton Distilling. We actually went there on an episode of Retracing History a couple years back, actually. It is the home. Originally, what they made at West Overton was Old Overhaul whiskey. They made a slight variant to the recipe because I think who owns it now? I forget who owns it. I think it's Jim Bean and owns the recipe. So sadly, the West Overton Museum cannot distill the whiskey that was actually made on their property, but they have a slight variant to it. And I actually picked this up a couple of years ago, and it's actually not too bad rye whiskey. So 247 years. Here we go, America. We're going to make it even to the 250th. Who knows? There we are. And I actually picked up the shot glass on our one recent trip to Fort Frederick. There will be a Retracing History video coming out for that as well. It's getting up close. Gotta love the shot glass. The shot glass collection is building, folks. It's building. See you, Maji. Salud. Try to usher in views to see you in cosplay. This is living history. We take offense to the term cosplay. Well, I don't take offense, but certain other people do. Oh, what? No, I don't want to hide the current comment. What? No. What happened? Hide current comment? No. Sorry, Maji, if by any chance one of your comments got knocked down. I didn't mean that by any means, but I think I must have accidentally clicked something. Presser John Esquire at my whatever reception in West Overton. Beautiful place. It is. It's a lovely place. If you ever get to It was this old village, like I mentioned. They distilled old overhauled whiskey for many years, going bacon. It's one of the only pre-American Civil War villages still surviving. The structure is still standing. Beautiful brick barn they got there that they host weddings in. That's what Esquire's speaking of down there. All right. Well, uh, before we get into our main thing, I have something else I want to talk about. So, people celebrate the 4th of July in many interesting ways. Some people decide to drink a lot of booze on the 4th of July. Some people decide to get on an Apache helicopter and recite Bill Pullman at an air base. And then we had sheets. So, this is ridiculous. So, if you haven't heard, I have to remove that one. Hold on one moment, folks. I gotta do it. So, if you haven't heard, Sheetz, the convenience store, if you're not familiar, it's a big chain that's on the eastern seaboard. It originates from Altoona, Pennsylvania. So, I think you got like 600 Sheetz chains in Pennsylvania alone. I think they're big in North Carolina too, if I'm not mistaken. If I can, that's not the thing. Is that the thing? Is that the thing? No, it's not the thing. There's so many things. Ah! Yeah, this is the real stream. All right, I figured scaring out. All right, perfect. We'll get to you in a little while. Fun my comic. We'll get a little bit later to you. Anyways, Sheets decided for the 4th of July that they would reduce price on gasoline to $1.776. So $1.77 actually. Sounds like a great way to commemorate the holiday. We are right now in a state where gas is at least $4 a gallon most days or close to it. And when people see that price reduced, even by a cent, they blitz upon the sheets. You drop it down by a few dollars, you're asking for major congestion. And that is exactly what's been happening here in the great state of Pennsylvania. So here it is from Williamsburg Sun-Gazette. Sheetz celebrates America's July 4th Independence Day by reducing gasoline price to $1.77 a gallon. Customers are lined up completely around the Sheetz outlet on Maryland Street of Williamsport on Tuesday morning, waiting to take advantage of the huge savings on gasoline being offered for one day only at all the chains, 600 plus stores in Pennsylvania and other states of the East Coast. Okay, maybe I don't know. It is very likely there will be a very long line. Oh, there was. Look at it. They're bumper to bumper. Poor Americans. We can't afford gasoline. Well, the gas companies won't give us affordable gasoline anymore. So we have to line bumper to bumper, spend our holiday in a freaking parking lot. There's another photograph here. This one's from Clarion. It's a little closer to Pittsburgh, closer to my home. Oh, it's been a disaster. My local store, I did not actually go to. Like I said, I did not leave the house. I was tempted. Everlay Music and the Gilded that we're in tempted me. But no, I didn't go get that free gas because I knew better. I am not going to risk my neck for it. Look at them. Lined up on the freaking freeway for it. And then this guy's pretty funny. Corganville Sheetz had a glitch this morning and ended up getting gas for only 74 cents. That person, very lucky. And there it is, $776, $1.76, it's $1.77. There they are in Venango, all piled up. Look at it. Look at it. Oh my God, I don't even know where this is. This is not safe, folks. I get it's cheap gas, but this is how you want to spend your holiday. You're going to be there for at least an hour plus in line. I guarantee it. We're still going. We're not even to the sheets yet. Well, I see the red awning. I see the red awning. We're getting close. It's almost there. There is it there? Oh, there it is. Finally. Oh wow. I don't know how those truck drivers are getting out, to be quite honest. I have no idea how those truck drivers are getting off. I don't know, Lily. I don't know how they're getting off. I don't know how they're going to get out of there. So if you're thinking about going to Sheetz in Bridgeville, think hard. I just drove it. The line is unreal, but the odds be ever in your favor. So yeah, that's what's been going on, at least here in the state of Pennsylvania and throughout most of the eastern seaboard. So without the holiday traffic, it's been a little crazy. It's been a little crazy. Well, I guess you can leave your car, walk the mile down to the sheets, get your MTO, walk the mile back. The line's probably not moved, so you'll be fine. Drive a little few inches, get back out, go down, get your MTO. Yeah, you should be fine. You should be fine. Yeah. Sheets is, I will say this, there's many convenience stores, but Sheets, you're guaranteed every Sheets. Gas, food, bathrooms. You know how hard it is to find a convenience store chain that's guaranteed those free things. Sheets will provide those free things, guaranteed. So yeah, I just wanted to rant about that. Let's move on to what we're actually talking about tonight. Oh no, that's teasing. Okay. What we're gonna do tonight is we're gonna do one preservation shout out. We're going to do the main activity for the evening. And then we're going to do the cultural shout out before we wrap things up. And if you guys, by any chance, if you guys have anything Independence Day related, or maybe you have a project you're working on, you want me to shout out, you're more than willing to leave it in the comments. I can't promise I'll get to it. It'll just depend how I'm feeling here. This streams, I usually do streams an hour. Who knows? We're partying. We might be here for 2 hours. So if I see something in the comment, I don't get to talk about it, I apologize. But feel free to post it. But anyways, we're going to start off with our preservation shout out for this special Independence Day, and we're taking you to Fort Loudon, Pennsylvania. Believe it or not, there's actually 3 Fort Loudons, all built for the French and Indian War back in the 1750s. There's Fort Loudon, Tennessee, which I need to go visit someday. There is Fort Loudon in Winchester, Virginia. It's no longer standing. It was actually one of the headquarters for then Colonel George Washington. And then we got Fort Loudon, Pennsylvania, all named after the same man, 4th Earl of Loudon, John Campbell, who was the commander of North America during the French and Indian War. He was like the de facto military commander. He didn't do so hot, but he had all these forts named after him anyways. This fort was originally built back in 1756. It was originally built back in 1756 by the Pennsylvania militia. Pennsylvania did not have a proper militia until the start of the French and Indian War. Ben Franklin had pressured for it, and when natives that were backed by the French were raiding the western frontier, the Allegheny Mountains, the Quakers relented and allowed for a standing militia. So they threw all these, about a dozen or so of these forts in the Allegheny Mountains. One of them was Fort Loudon. And then 2 years later, what ended up happening in 1758, General John Forbes's British army came from Philadelphia through Fort Loudon on its way to capture Fort Duquesne, the French outpost where Pittsburgh now stands. Forbes was successful in that mission, and afterwards he would leave about a team of 30 soldiers at every fort across southern Pennsylvania, including Fort Loudon. Now, Fort Loudon's most important role is not during the French and Indian War, but an event known as the Black Boys Rebellion. So what ended up happening, actually, let's get a good photograph before I keep talking. Good photograph. There's a lot of good photographs here. This one looks cool. These guys look cool. We'll talk over them. So what ended up happening was, after the French and Indian War, the British won the war. They kicked France out of North America. It had taken a lot longer than anticipated, cost a lot more money than anticipated. And initially, the idea was, okay, here's how we're going to recuperate our losses. Give all this land to the natives, make our native allies happy, then we will buy it legally from the natives gradually, and then we can sell it to the colonists. Great, we'll make our money back. A couple problems with that. Before the war, many different private companies had already laid claim and had made purchases legally of Western Pennsylvania and everything west of that. We're talking everything west. And a lot of these American soldiers that were in the French and Indian War on the British side were promised this land for their services. So imagine, Phil, you've fought this war, maybe you lost a relative to a native raid, and now you're being told, no, you can't go settle over there. Your land deals are no good. You're not going to feel too happy. You're not going to feel too good. So another thing that the British did to cut costs, so they did keep going into debt, they seriously cut back the gift giving with Native Americans. This upset the natives. This led to some incidents known such as Pontiac's War. I got a whole slew of videos on that on the channel, namely the Battle of Bushy Run. Eventually, the British were able to quell Pontiac's War, but they still were cutting the gift giving. In fact, if you wanted to be a civilian and wanted to have an occupation as a trader, selling goods to the natives, you had to get a license for the British government. And you weren't allowed to give certain things. You weren't allowed to give black powder. You weren't allowed to give lead. It could be made to musket balls. You weren't allowed to give alcohol. And that was a big one that the natives actually asked, because the native populations, the younger crowds, were getting excessively drunk on alcohol. So the older chiefs wanted that out of the tribes, out of the Ohio River Valley. So the British agreed to that. So you weren't around to trade these things. Well, around 1765, rumors are spreading in central PA around Fort Loudon that the British are sending military convoys to Fort Pitt, which was the British fort built at the Three Rivers after Fort Duquesne fell, to give these illegal goods. They were given powder, they're given lead, they're given alcohol to the natives. Wait a minute. We can't trade these goods, but the British government can. And they're like, and in the eyes of the Pennsylvanians, these natives are just going to use these supplies to raid the Pennsylvania frontier again. What the heck are the British doing? What was happening was there was several traders down at Fort Pitt, most namely George Croghan, who was also bankrupt because of the French-Indian War, wanted to make some money quick. So he made a few deals with the garrisons along the supply road down the Fort Pitt to allow these illegal goods to make their way down the Fort Pitt to be sold under the table to these natives. So Croghan can make buck. Well, it didn't set well with people like James Smith. Now, James Smith had been captured by natives during the French Indian War, and he has a whole book. Actually, I have it over there, but his tale of captivity. He went for captivity, was able to get released later on. So he was a little bit famous being this raised by natives situation. What ended up happening was James Smith decided, all right, if these soldiers are going to break the British law, we're going to search the wagons. We're a militia. Our militia is to protect our people. We need to protect our people by making sure no illegal goods are going over the mountains. So James Smith formed what became known as the Black Boys. And they were called the Black Boys because they would actually smear black paint on their face. It was probably charcoal, most likely, mimicking guerrilla warfare that Smith had learned from the natives. And basically what would happen was this around 1765, these British supply convoys would get to Fort Loudon. They would be warned, don't go up the mountain unless you let the Pennsylvanians search you guys. Most of the guys like, no, the Americans can't look at us. So the wagon would go up the road. James Smith and the Black Boys would pop out. They would plunder the wagons, find these illegal goods, burn them, and chase the wagoneers back to Fort Loudon. And this went on for a few months till the commander of Fort Loudon got fed up and started hunting down the Black Boys. Multiple skirmishes ensued in the surrounding area throughout 1765. And it culminated in November of 1765 when the Black Boys surrounded and laid siege to Fort Loudon. After just one day, the commander surrendered the post, left it, and that was the end of Fort Loudon. And this is, in some instances, the first act of rebellion against the British Crown in the British colonies. It's not the very first. You will see a lot of these isolated incidents in the 1750s, 60s, and 70s. This was one of the most notable ones. So we talk about Lexington and Concord being the shot heard around the world, where the United States rebels officially against the British Empire. It was happening at least a decade earlier, at least in places like Fort Loudon, Pennsylvania. So there is a historical society that owns the property where Fort Loudon stood. They're in the process of rebuilding the fort on the original location. Now, there's no museum. There is a museum, but it's not open to regular visitation. You're more willing to walk the grounds any day of the week. But they're in the process of rebuilding the fort. But they have a lot of really cool events. And I actually got to attend one last year, and I didn't take enough footage to put a video out about it. I'm hoping one day to get back. They do a lot of cool events, though, all throughout the summer. They have this big 18th century farmers market, 18th century market fair. It's basically a flea market for living historians like yours truly. In fact, this shirt I'm wearing, the undershirt, this linen shirt, I actually bought at the market last year. All these vendors that sell 18th century reproduced goods. I think they get like 50 or 60 vendors. It's huge. It's one of the many ways that they raise funds for the site. They're having a big event in November to commemorate that rebellion, which is now called Allegheny Uprising. There was actually a movie made in 1939 starring John Wayne, a very hokey film about the Black Boys Rebellion. But they will commemorate James Smith's actions, what some consider the true first shots of the revolution. So that'll be happening in November. Hopefully, it can work my schedule. I haven't actually got to go out to see this event yet, but they'll be doing. You can see they do a lot of cool events. The Fort Loudon Market. They do a timeline event across the centuries. They actually allow 17th century living historians to come out. They allow Viking living historians. They get a lot of people to come out here. It is a very versatile property. It's not just for the events of 1765, but that's their predominant focus. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to drop a link. Be sure, if you want to throw a few bucks their way to help support this adventure to preserve this early act of rebellion in the American colonies, there's the link in the description. Yeah. Always liked Maryland's color scheme and patterns. Oh, yeah. Can you see it in the... Yeah, you can see it over here. It's over here. This is the Calvert flag. Now, I don't think there's any historical evidence that was actually in existence. A lot comes from writing, how they described it. Essentially, they used Lord Baltimore's colors. Let me get the fix right. They used Lord Baltimore's colors when they were. What was I going to say? Oh, what was I going to say? In the French and Indian War, the Maryland government built 2 forts, similar to how Pennsylvania's militia built Fort Loudon. It was 12 forts. Maryland built 2 forts. There was Fort Frederick and there was Fort Cumberland, although the Marylanders and the Virginians disputed over who owned Cumberland. In any case, it's believed that Calvert's colors, Lord Baltimore, flew over Fort Frederick. Now, it's that black and gold checkered pattern. That's the Calvert colors. And it's believed in the canton, in the Union, the left corner, they put in the British flag. Now, eventually, they put in, I forget whose other shield they put on, but they put another person's shield on, and that's the red and white checkers. And that's how you get the modern Maryland flag. So this is a precursor, a rumored precursor. If I can I pivot it over? It's a really cool flag. I used to actually have it back completely. It's a little hard to see. You can see the Union, you can see the King's colors there a little bit. But yeah, I love this flag. Even if it didn't exist, I had to have it for the studio. The bedroom. All right. Maryland is a Bavaria ripoff. Oh, Burnett's going to get a little mad here. He's getting a little feisty. Rip off, intimidation is what the kindest way of affection, something like that. What's the saying? Sir Birdie. Least favorite state flag is Washington. Wow. I don't mind it. It's green and got Washington's face on it. Hey, if you diss Pennsylvania state colors, no, we don't diss Pennsylvania state colors here. Can you believe that somebody's trying to put a bill in Pennsylvania's House right now because the Pennsylvania flag is too complex. We need to simplify it. Why does everything got to be simplified? Why do we got to go all these generic simplified logos that they suck the soul out of everything? It's grand. It's cool. I like the Pennsylvania colors. The North American Vexillological Association. There we are. All right, so we want to talk about flags. I feel it. Okay, let's get to the main course for the evening. I don't blame you guys. All right, what we're going to do tonight, we are going to be talking about flags from the American Revolution. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. We're doing this purely for fun. I threw all these flags in an image. I went through a couple websites. Went through ones that I knew for certain from the Web War. Some that they're a little sus, and some they look cool, and I want to put them in here. So I will try to the best of my abilities to tell you the history that I know. I don't know the history of all the flags, and I apologize in advance. So some you'll get some in-depth histories on. Some I'm just gonna be like, it's pretty. or it sucks. And that's it. We're just having fun. And I will give a link before tonight's over to the tier maker. You can all make your own tier list about this, so you'll have your own chance. So if you disagree with me, please make your own tier list. I'll give you that opportunity. But without any further ado, well, hold on a little bit. DC did Washington much better justice by adapting his family crest into a flag. Yeah, the DC flag's pretty cool. I'll give you that. It's not a state, though. It looks so fake. That's a good way to describe it. Like the Washington, most cases, like the Washington face is blurred. Like it just doesn't look like it was printed on right. All right, here we go. So these are flags from the Revolution. There are a couple exceptions, and we'll talk about them when we get there. And there's a reason to put them on. But without any further ado, our tier ranks for the league. We will have at F tier, Benedict Arnold level. Very bad. You don't want to be Benedict Arnold letter. You don't want to get the boot shot out of the cannon. Poor, mid, good, and then John Paul Jones, aka the S tier. That's the best tier you can get. I wonder when we will get to that. Anyways. So without any further ado, we're going to start with the Appeal to Heaven flag. This is a white flag that has a pine tree on it. There are various variants. Wow, I cannot do English tonight. The Appeal to Heaven flag, there are variants of it. Sometimes there's Appeal to Heaven with the pine tree. Sometimes it's just the pine tree. It was one of the earlier naval ensigns used by the American Navy. And when I mean American Navy, when it started out, it was 6 private schooners that came from New England that George Washington's like, we're going to make that a Navy now. That's our Navy. That's it. We're going to hang on to that. So, yeah, some people also call it the New England flag. So it's very loose. Actually, I can't show it to you, but right behind me, the window right here, I actually have a replica of the Appeal to Heaven flag right in front of me. I look at it right now when I do all my productions. It's very interesting. So I do have sentimentality to it, since I have it in my studio, but it is a very simple flag. It depends on how the flag's designed. Sometimes I like the tree, sometimes I don't. I'll put it in good tier. It's an aspiring flag. I've tend to reference it, I guess is the word I'm trying to use. I've tend to reference it a few times when I'm like, an appeal to heaven, please liberate us, things like that. So I'll put it in good tier. Am I being too nice to that flag? I always thought the flag would have a bowl of chowder. We're fighting over the Washington state flag. I think Washington is entering so bad it's good territory because you can't say it's ugly, but not that it's boring. So what you're saying is I'm going to have to do a future Uncut history where we compare state flags. And I agree. I will do that. It's going on the docket. It looks like an entry-level design class flag. So yes, Appeal to Heaven goes in good tier. I like the message. This is the Bedford flag. Now, this was a flag that was found in Massachusetts. It is believed to be the oldest flag to exist in the United States of America. It's believed to date back to the 1750s. I think it was for either a Connecticut or Massachusetts militia unit. We don't know if it was used during the Revolution. The rumor is that it was flown at the Battle of Concord at the start of the war, but there's no historical evidence to support that. There's no documents to say this flag was there. It's just oral history. It's very interesting. I did it again. I need to have like big photos, but hopefully you can see. No, you can't see. Let's do this. There we go. That's a little better. All right. So this is the flag. This is the Bedford flag. Got that armor hand, like a knight's armor holding a knife out. We have Vince Coot. Oh, why do I have to spell it upside down? Morinier. It's Latin. You guys can frag me in the comments how I'm mispronouncing Latin. And it's pretty well survives too. It seems a little bit of the trimmings off. So this flag definitely exists. It's the least dates back to the 1770s. It's believed it goes back to the 1750s. It's believed to be the oldest flag of the United States. And it's just a really cool design. And I think for that reason, we're also going to put it in good tier. I feel if I was maybe a little further north, if I had it was a little more closer to where this flag's from, I would have more sentimentality. But I feel good putting it in good tier. This next flag's a little interesting. It's a little bit hard to see. I'm just gonna. We'll just do this. See, thank goodness I looked all these flags up. So this is the flag of Eastern PA. Supposedly, it was put together so when on July 9th, 1776, it could be flown as the representatives read the Declaration of Independence to the people of Easton, PA. And Easton sits on the PA New Jersey border, way up in northeastern Pennsylvania. It's really interesting. We got our 13 stars, and something to note: to be actually a star in a flag, you actually have to have 6 sides. If it's 5 sides, it's only called a spur. So these are truly stars. And then you got your 13 stripes, your red and white stripes. It's a rumor that it was flown. Again, there's no surviving evidence that it actually flew. There's no documentation. You'll get that a lot with these flags, but it was used during the War of 1812, so at least a replica of it was flown by militia units during the War of 1812. So it did exist at some point. I need to get that for the wall. It's cool. I think it's a cool flag. What do you guys think? I think the Easton flag is a cool flag. Good. I'm going to put in good. I don't know about good. We'll keep it a good. If it's from New England, it was probably drawn on a napkin and a brief Dunkin' Donuts. You wouldn't be too far off, probably. All right, moving on. This comes from a town in Massachusetts. This was made actually after the Boston Massacre in 1770. And it says Liberty and Union. It's the red ensign, which was the informal flag of the British colonies. The red ensign, there's the red ensign, the blue ensign, the white ensign. There's all these ensigns for different fleets of ships. The red ensign happened in North America. It has the king's colors and the canton, which is the upper left corner, also known as the Union. It says Liberty and Union. A lot of the early flags in revolutionary America kept the king's colors because they were rebelling against Parliament, not the crown. They still wanted to be subjects of the king. It wasn't until 1776 that we severed all ties with the king. I'm going to put it in mid. It looks cool. I like the red ensign, but all they did was put the letters on. Next, we have the Grand Union. This flag is the first official flag of the United States of America. It was adopted in 1775. Went through, okay, it wasn't officially adopted. I guess it had been 76 technically. And then it was dissolved in 77 when we get our current flag, essentially. And again, it's a variant of the red ensign. Instead of having the red field, now we have the red and white 13 stripes to represent the colonies. King's colors are still there, though, because some people still were not okay with seceding from the king. They still were not okay with that. So they were trying to keep the peace, trying to meet both grounds. This flag was created to be a compromise between your radicals and your moderate revolutionaries. I'll put in good tier. I'm very sentimental, but I don't necessarily. I'm never going to hang it. I'm going to put it in mid. I'm not going to hang that flag. It's cool, but it's too much going on for me. Like I said, this is supposed to be a serious stream. Next, we have, oh my God, I just realized I put the Gadsden flag on twice. Whoops. Next, we have the Fort Mercer flag. So Fort Mercer is one of 2 forts that guard the Delaware River, the outskirts of Philadelphia. Fort Mercer is on the New Jersey side. Fort Mifflin, we're going to get to that next, is on the Pennsylvania side. And this is the flag that was flown at Fort Mercer. I did get that right, yeah. You should have got that right. Yeah, because Fort Mifflin is now a museum in Pennsylvania. Yeah, the Fort Mercer side's on the side. So it's the basic United States flag, but as you can see, they reversed the colors. We don't know the reason for it. Looks pretty cool. I always like the first color flag. Hey, good tier. I always like reverse color American flags. They're always really cool. And then we get the Fort Mifflin flag, which is just simply stripes, red, blue, white, red, blue, white, red, blue, white. Reason being, they needed a flag. They grabbed it from the closest American ship, and they threw it up. So it's an ensign that was not designed for the fort. They needed something. Early on in the United States Navy, every ensign was supposed to had different colored stripes. because it was to denote each individual ship. Remember, we didn't have a lot of ships starting out, so it was pretty easy to make a different flag for each ship based on colors. It's cool, but it doesn't have the stars. I'm putting in mid. I'll put it in high mid. There, high mid. The Fort Moultrie flag, which became the basis of the South Carolina flag. It got the crescent in it that says Liberty. Flew over Fort Moultrie during the first battle over was Savannah. The first battle of Fort Moultrie. It actually ended up getting shot down, but the United States ended up holding Fort Moultrie, at least in 1776. It didn't go well the second time the British went down to South Carolina. It was a flag used by the Secesh in the 1860s. Is that dock points? No. Chat, what do you think? Fort Moultrie flag. It's a crescent that says Liberty with all blue. Good or mid? 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 Better than mid. Better than mid? No, okay, now you're going mid. You're going mid, okay. Oh, no, wait. Wrangler's going better than mid. It's good. It's mid. It's mid. It's good. It's good. I can't tell. I think Wrangler was talking about the previous one. I need a tiebreaker. I can't make my mind up. Help. Well, considering we already... Let's put it in good. The historical value, I think, wins it over. I mean, it was used at Fort Moultrie. It was used during the Civil War. It's used as the basis of the South Carolina flag. It's been a lot of historical events. I think for that reason, the historical value, we'll put it in good. I think that's where we're going to put it. Oh, maybe not. Oh, now you're like, oh, I don't know. Good wins. All right, moving on. The Gadsden flag. Oh, God. Where do we begin with this flag? So the Gadsden flag did really exist. There were many different variants of it. I was almost going to put on the Culpeper County, Virginia flag, which is basically a black and white version of this, but you got to have the color. It was originally an ensign for one of the ships in the early U.S. Navy, and then people made their own different variants about it, and it has always been a symbol of rebellion to this very day in the United States. Love it, hate it. I like it. I don't like this particular version of it. Like, I don't like the yellow for some reason. Like, it pops, but I prefer a certain other version of it that you see is behind me. So, good. I have to put in good. Now, this flag, this is not the flag for Santa Claus. This flag, I just discovered today. I did not know this flag existed. This is the flag of George Rogers Clark. It's 13 stripes, knows the theme here, so the 13 colonies, and it's red and green. Why is it red and green? I truthfully do not know. There's evidence it existed. Yeah, I know, I'm reading it from Wikipedia. Go with me here. It clearly existed. There's an account of it that a resident of the cities, Indiana, paid for red serge. They're paying for green serge. They paid somebody to make the flag. The flag existed. That's true. All right, here we go. The color choice of red and green instead of red and white remains a mystery. It's possible that there simply was not enough white serge available in Vincennes at the time. It is worth noting, however, that whereas Colonel Clark had offered a red and white belts to American Indians and Naquaki to represent war or peace, Captain Helm presented the Wabash Indians with red or green belts. On December 27th at Vincennes, a Piankenshaw chief presented the Lieutenant Governor Hamilton with red and green wampum, which was said to represent the Wabash River. Okay, that's interesting. So it seems like it has some tie with Clark and his relations with the natives of the region. So for that, and for those who don't know, so you might not recognize the name. You might recognize the name George Rogers Clark. You might not know who Vincennes is. So there was a whole Western feeder to the American Revolution. It was very widespread. Went the whole way out. You right here. We're talking about Vincennes, Indiana. And one of the key victories of the Revolution occurred at Vincennes. There was a fort out there, Fort Sackville, that George Rogers Clark was successful in capturing. That kind of knocked out a lot of the British presence in what they called the Northwest Territory. We would call it the Midwest today. And the government, the federal government, has put a huge, big rotunda monument in Vincennes dedicating this victory. And there's inside the rotunda showing the French flag, the British flag, the American flag, and George Rogers Clark personal flag, the flag for victory at Vincennes. I am hoping someday to go on like a Western swing. I want to hit these unknown battlefields in the Midwest. I want to go see Fort Meigs. I want to go out and see Fort Wayne in Indiana. I want to go see Vincennes, where this monument is. So I think for the history value, and then I learned a lot today, I think I'm putting this very high good tier. Very high good tier. I think if I can buy a copy of it, I'm going to be putting it on the wall. I think it would be a very good addition. Was it designed for Elm Street? So this is also the Freddy Krueger flag. Little did you know, this is still Freddy Krueger flag as well. Little did you know. I should put it out like in October and just say, oh yeah, it's the Freddy Krueger flag. No step on snake. Yeah, no step on snake. You're biased because it's S tier. I can't say because I'm biased. I really like this flag. So yeah, there we go. Man, this is a very positive. This is more positive than I was thinking this was going to turn out to be. All right, next up, we have the headquarter flag for George Washington. Need I say more? I adore this flag. It's very simple. It's Talent or these 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they're stars. Okay, it is stars on a blue field. It's just a beautiful flag. It pops. I want to get a copy of one. I actually have a little desktop one up here. The reason you never see it in the stream, it is so faded. They often fly this flag in front of his headquarters at Valley Forge National Park today. So for that reason, goes an S tier. Goes an S tier. We got any dissenting opinions? Where's the Dukes of Hazzard flag? Different war. We should have start calling the Army of North Virginia battle flag the Dukes of Hazzard flag, quite honestly. Just mess with people. The Hazzard County flag. All right. Oh, one of my favorites, the Guilford Courthouse flag. So this one I do know a little bit of the backstory on. All right. So we're not just judging this on history. Well, we are judging on history. The whiskey's going in. So this flag was supposedly flown in 1781 at the Battle of Guilford Courthouse. Now, the Battle of Guilford Courthouse kind of marked the end of what I would call the Over Mountain campaign. That's not the real term for the campaign. That's what I call it. Essentially, what happened was in 1780, the British, they were pinned down in New York. Washington boxed them in 1778. It hung out there for 2 years. So they decided to go down to Georgia. They ended up taking places like Savannah. They moved up to South Carolina. They took Charleston. And then they moved up into North Carolina. And the idea was, we'll take over these southern colonies. We'll get support from the loyalists down here, and we'll break the backbone of the rebellion. Well, they walked into a hornet's nest. Imagine the U.S. Army going into Vietnam. That is what happened to the British Army going into the hills of the Carolinas. First, the Patriot militia picked off the Loyalist militia at the Battle of Kings Mountain in 1780, which led to the death of Patrick Ferguson. And we were actually talking about Ferguson a while ago in the Gilded, if some of you guys remember. He had actually made a early breech-loading rifle that the British did not patent. It was just too difficult. Did not create. It was too just difficult to create. Then in January of 1781, Daniel Morgan came down, took charge of the situation with the Continental Army. So now he got militia and the Continentals, and had found a way to make the militia work with the Continentals, and was able to defeat the Bannister Tarleton at the Battle of Cowpens. Morgan retired because of health. Nathaniel Greene took his place. Greene ran the whole way up to the Dan River, gave Cornwallis one hell of a heart attack of a race, and then Greene moved back into the Carolinas and met Cornwallis at the Battle of Guilford Courthouse. It's one of the largest battles of the American Revolution. It is arguably one of, if not the bloodiest battle of the Revolution. And he tried using Morgan's tactic, which was you put the militia in front, you put 2 columns of militia in front, let them fall back very quickly, which would lure the British into a false sense of security. And when they hit the third line, it's all Continentals, regulars. The militia would then be in the trees on the flanks. You'd be caught in a pincer. That'd work at Cowpens because it was a much smaller operation. It was only about 1,000 Americans versus 1,000 British. And it's literally called Cowpens because it was this open pasture in it was a rectangular field surrounded by forests. So it was perfect for this strategy. Doing it at Guilford Courthouse was a bit difficult. There was a lot of farms, there was woodlots. It just wasn't. It was a very hard topography to control. And now you're dealing with 20,000 versus 10,000. It was a mess. Friendly fire incidents ensued. Ultimately, the United States the Continental Army, Green had to retire from the field, but the British were so badly mauled by that action, they could not pursue Green again, and instead went to Yorktown. And I think you know where the story ends from there. What the heck does this flag have to do with all of that? It is said that Green had this flag flown over the Guilford Courthouse before the battle. It was kind of a morale thing. Now it's one of them cases again. We don't have any surviving evidence of the flag, blah, blah, blah. There's some original replicas. What I mean, like old replicas made in the 1780s and 90s. I believe they have one preserved is it at the North or it's that one it's like guys. It's at one of the Carolina courthouses. They have it actually preserved, but I don't think it's the original one. So there's a lot of myth over this. It's in paintings. I don't think it was been used in the battle itself, although there's paintings that show that. It's a really cool design. I love this design. The oblong shape just looks cool. And plus it's tied to this very interesting battle of the Revolution. I'm flying a SNCC flag this month off my second floor balcony. Very good, Raven. Very good. Got to fly the SNCC flag. And also, hail Raven. Couldn't afford full-length strips, I see. Perhaps that's also the reason. So, what do you guys think? I like this flag. Is it S tier? There's a lot of myth behind it. It's good. I agree it's good, but is it S tier? There's a lot of myth. I personally feel since it's more myth than fact, it's kind of holding it down a few pegs, but it's such a cool flag. And actually, a lot of people still fly today. Any ideas? What should we do with the Guilford Courthouse flag? While you say that, I am going to drink some water. All right, my hat is completely off the rocker tonight. There we are. A little bit better. Is that a sign for S tier? Oh, no, good. You say good. It's good, I say. I think it's good. I just, me as a historian, I got to have some standards. I'll put it right next to the George Rogers Clark flag. Okay, this next one's really interesting. What was the name of the flag, actually? It was like the New York flag. Yeah, this flag is fascinating. So this is a flag from New York in 1775. George III Rex and the liberties of America, no popery. This flag was created in protest of the British Empire, not because of the taxes, but because of one of the decisions that King George III had ruled upon that essentially it allowed for Catholics to remain in British Canada. Remember, British Canada was once French Canada, going back to the French and Indian War. The British captured all this. And this is why today Quebec is completely different from the rest of Canada. They all speak French up there. So there was a lot of dispute in the British colonies, the British Empire. Should Catholicism be allowed in this part of the British Empire? And King George III had ruled, yes, allow it. Well, some of the Americans didn't like that too much, so the Protestants got up in an uproar and were protesting against it. No popery. So that's actually where this flag comes from, and they had a whole different reason for getting into the Revolution. You have to remember, New York's pretty close to Quebec, so this is an interesting flag because it's actually double-sided. So this is the front side, this is the back. The Union and the Colonies and the Measures of the Congress. And then there's a different colored one. Really cool flag. So, good, I do declare. Yes. I'm going to put down a mid, and the reason is I'm not necessarily a big fan. Since we put the one flag down, just simply having text on an end sign, it's the same situation, but a cool flag, but mid. Next up, the Rhode Island flag. Yes, the flag of the Rhode Island Regiment. The Rhode Island Regiment, sometimes called the Black Regiment of the Revolution. The reason being the Rhode Island Regiment had a large number of African Americans, also had a number of Native Americans recruited, believe it or not. Now, the Continental Army did not allow the enlistment of black men in the Army. I think it was between, 76 and 78 that was forbidden. But the Rhode Island Regiment was an exception. And in 1778, they got to prove their worth at the Battle of Rhode Island. When the British made a landing at Rhode Island, they were able to hold them back. So they were considered as heroes. They didn't see any interaction in the war. They got a really cool flag. And it's actually the template for what is the Rhode Island flag today. This would be a great movie. Make a movie about the Rhode Island Regiment. They're, it would be like it's the glory of the Revolution, if you know what I'm talking about, the movie Glory from 1989. So there it is in all of its glory. Didn't mean to use that pun. Rhode Island Regiment. What do you guys think? Talking about the George Rex flag. They really put some all caps sans serif right there on the flag, and all caps bumper sticker slogan flag. To be fair, some of these are computer generated. The stitching might have been different. I like this flag. Just looks really cool. S tier. Would be a nightmare to sew. Would be a nightmare sewed. But for the power of printing on nylon, we can have it in our homes today. God, it must have been a pain for them to make. Yeah, it's going in S tier. I agree with everybody else. I love this flag. I'm going to have to get it someday. It's up there with the George Washington HQ flag. Another New York flag. This one came from Shenley. Just simply says, Liberty. Mid. There's not much more to say. Yep, Liberty. Okay, mid. This flag is interesting. This flag, no surviving evidence of it exists. It actually comes from a testimony from John Graves Simcoe. And Simcoe is a interesting figure. John Graves Simcoe, look at this guy right here. Look at this dapper man. He was an officer in the British Army during the Revolution. He actually led the Queen's Rangers, which were a mixture of loyalists, regulars. I think he had some freed Black Americans. I think he also had some Native Americans in his unit. They are a very interesting unit, the Queen's Rangers. Everybody always did say, "Oh, the British know how to fight in the wilderness." Bullshit, they did. They knew how to fight in the wilderness. The Queen's Rangers, a really good group to check out. Anyways, so at the siege of Yorktown, John Graves Simcoe is there, and he claims to have seen a flag like this. This is actually a much better image. He claims he saw a flag with red and blue stripes instead of red and white. No surviving evidence of the flag. It's only based on Simcoe's testimony. Simcoe's viewing this flag from across earthworks while he's being pounded by artillery. Again, I like reverse colored American flags. They always look cool. I though simply think that he just mistook blue for white. I mean, imagine these flags have been out in the rain for a while, and I know this from personal experience. These flags get out there in the rain, the blue can start staying into the white very easily. I don't think it existed. That's just me personally. It's a cool flag. Oh, there was a boom. There we go. We got the first of our fireworks, I think, tonight. It's not supposed to rain tonight. Do I put it in Arnold tier just because the Brits said it? No, I can't do it just because the Brits said it. I'm not like that. What do you guys think? Simcoe's depiction of the Yorktown flag. You think it really existed? Is there an imaginary tier? That's a lot of these flags, to be quite honest. Yeah, blue dye running. Yeah, I don't know why this copy is very uneven. I like the painting of it way better. It's kind of cool. It's cool, even if it's mimicry. Yeah, because I can't put it mid. I'll put it very low good. It's just a weird render of it. Don't tread on me flag. Another one again. This one, is an interesting one. It actually shows up in the miniseries John Adams. I would love to have the version they have in John Adams that's on the ship when John Adams is actually being taken from America over to France and he gets attacked by a British warship. You can see it flying in the background. So it's a naval jack, it's a naval ensign. But I don't, from what I've gathered, it likely didn't exist in this variation during the American Revolution. And if it did, it was not a formal ensign. It came around actually after September 11th and was used by the U.S. Navy from 2002 up till 2019. It was a homage to an earlier naval jack. Now, I really like it. Like I said, this is my preferred version of the Gadsden idea. I got it behind me over here. I actually used to hang up in the background, but sometimes I get tired of it. But what do you guys think? Because now that I'm looking at, I'm biased toward it, but on the same hand, I can see holding up to the SNCC flag. The yellow, I'm starting to change my mind. The yellow does really pop. What are you guys saying on this other ensign, this other SNCC flag? Yeah, it's a later design. The room is torn. Less than mid. Well, we already put it in good tier. Oh wow. Oh wow. My tiers always upset people. You know what? I'm sorry, Evelyn. I'm gonna have to make a change. I have to agree with Esquire over here. I'm gonna. It's too imaginary. I like it. I like it. Don't wrong. But back to the other one. Yep. Better than the yellow SNCC flag and was used in an official capacity recently. S tier. Because it is technically an official flag. It was definitely used and it is inspired by earlier versions. So a version of this did exist. Like I said, if I can get a copy of the one they use in John Adams, it is just, it's a beautiful flag. It's not exactly like this. It's like faded. It's beautiful. I'm going to actually keep it in good tier. Reason being, because the Gadsden flag's in good tier as well. How do you feel about that? All right, next one up is the Bennington flag. So this flag is reported to have been flown in 1777 during the Saratoga campaign. What had ended up happening was John Burgoyne, a British general, came up with this bold idea to end the war by Christmas. Three-prong attack on New York. Because the idea is, if you bring Burgoyne's army down from Canada, if you bring another army, it would have been led by Clinton, up from New York, and you brought a third army, which would have come, and I'm going the wrong direction, I know, comes from Lake Ontario across New York. Using the Hudson River, you can sever England from the middle and southern colonies. Because in the eyes of the British government, the New England colonies were the problem child. If you cut off the head of the snake, the rest of the snake would die off in that sense. The problem was Clinton didn't really necessarily like the idea, and instead went down to Philadelphia. He actually captured Philadelphia, but he wasn't able to support Burgoyne, and the other British force got mauled at Fort Stanwix and at the Battle of Oriskany, which I really want to go up and see that site someday. Oriskany was it's a tragic story about the Iroquois nation. Oh, it was brutal. There was actually, was it particularly, I believe it was the Seneca in particular. It's Seneca, was it the Seneca, the Mohawk? Which word was it? I think it was one of those tribes that were in with the Iroquois Confederacy. The tribe ended up fighting on both sides of the battle. So it was literally if you took in a town and they were fighting against each other for two different countries. It was brutal. So, and in any case, Burgoyne didn't get any support. So he had to go in alone, came from north to south. He tried fanning out into the countryside, went over to Bennington. He was going to capture a stash of arms. The small U.S. Army there held him off, and it said that this flag was flown over the arsenal. So it's a variant of the American flag. I actually didn't put too many. There were many different variants of the American flag. I tried keeping them to just ones where the colors would change or the design was radically different. If it was just a change of the constellation, I didn't want to put them in because there was no set constellation at this point for the stars. So where are we going to put the Bennington flag? This one's also very popular in lawns. You'll see it in a lot of locations. What do we do with the Bennington flag? What do we do? What do we do at Bennington? Min, like an elf druid. Wow. That 6 is pretty whimsical. It really is. The frowny face flag. Yeah, I'm gonna put it. Actually, I think we have the first one tonight. Poor. Yeah, that's right. I'm putting it poor. I just, a lot of people like this flag. I don't. Again, it's more myth than fact. And I, eh, I feel sacrilege putting a flag that says 76 on July 4 for the poor tier. But I'm standing that ground. Next one's the Brandywine flag. Oh, God, the Brandywine flag. So another one more myth than fact. So this is the Brandywine flag. Yes, this is the full size flag. No, it's not the red. So here's the thing. If it was the red and white, just, I can't really show you. If it was just a red and white flag that you see in the canton, I would like this. But that's not it. The whole flag is the canton, and you have this giant red field. Yes, there's a surviving example of this flag, and yes, that's how it's. Although a lot of the stripe portions missing, we just have like a corner of it. It was believed for many years that this was attached to a Pennsylvania regiment, the Battle of Brandywine, which was the largest battle of the Revolution. It was fought over about 11 miles long of a battlefield, essentially, and it did lead to the fall of Philadelphia. The British did capture at the end of the day, and oddly enough, this battle occurred on September 11th, 1777. But more recent research has shown it was actually carried by a Chester County militia, and even then it's disputed if it was even carried into battle. That being said, the Chester County militia did have members participate in that battle. So it's possible the flag participated. So this is the Brandywine flag. If it was just the corner, if the corner was the whole flag, I would adore it. But it just looks so weird. Why is this the design? Why all this red? Wouldn't it just been cheaper just to make the flag? Why put all this red in it? It looks like it didn't load properly. To be honest, this is what it looks like. I'll even the graphic design, my passion flag. Oh God, my eyes. I don't know if you could hear. Might be too faint, but we got fireworks there over this way. We got fireworks over there. So Wranglers hope for fireworks. They're coming true. That 420 is paying off for the channel. All right. Yeah. You know what? F tier. Yeah, I went there. Even though I still want to buy the flag just for because I'm from Pennsylvania, because it's from a battle in Pennsylvania, I want the flag. But I want to see if I can show you another photo of it to prove it's not false. It's not just how I loaded it. There you go. There it is. It existed. Look at it. Like, why? See, this looks pretty cool. It looks cool as a patch, but just not as a full flag. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it, SpongeBob. Oh, God. What were they thinking? Oof. Indeed. All right, that's enough about looking at the Brandywine flag. Let's go. No, not yet. Let's go to the Green Mountain Boys flag. Yeah, the Green Mountain Boys flag. Of course, Green Mountain Boys, led by Ethan Allen. They, along with Benedict Arnold, captured Fort Ticonderoga in 1775. It wasn't much of a battle. They just walked into the middle of the night and stunned everybody. And then Ethan Allen stole all the glory. Something Ethan Allen would do a lot, but hey, it's the Green Mountain Boys. Yeehaw! They also fought the Battle of Bennington. So this flag is another Bennington battle flag. Far better than the other one, if you ask me. This flag's really cool. This flag's really cool, in my opinion. Oh, cool. It's getting too loud here. Oh, come on. I like M80s. Sometimes. You gotta like a few M80s. It's the People's Republic of America flag. Yeah. S. A. S. He's changed his mind. Those stars look like Wile E. Coyote gets hit with an anvil. Yeah, kind of. We're gonna put an S tier. I love this flag. I love it. Another one that's gonna go on the wall. Hey, we got all the fields filled out, so that's pretty good. All right. You know what time it is. It is time to talk about the flag. Oh, yes. So, actually, what spurred on this whole conversation tonight, I really wanted to do a stream for July 4th because it's a history channel. And Amaji Chan had asked on a couple weekly wingets ago if I was going to do something for Independence Day. And I really had no plans. I'm like, well, I got to go do something. Well, let me find a good painting of it. Oh, don't diss the Serapis flag. Don't you do that. Don't you do that. You can probably figure out where I'm ranking this. Anyways, this is the Serapis flag. This is the Serapis flag. The story of this goes, John Paul Jones, who was a fighting man, he sailed in the seven seas. Oh, that's a great Johnny Horton song. John Paul Jones was a madman and basically decided, I'm going to go and play all the cheat modes on the British Navy, and he ransacked just about every British ship you could think of. Yes, his status is probably we probably make it more myth than fact. I don't care. It's John Paul Jones. He is a madman. He's the only person during the Revolution from the United States to strike the British homeland. He actually struck the British Isles. He made landing at was it Scarborough Tavern is where he made landing and actually raided the town. He is a madman. The U.S. had no way of supporting this, but he did it anyways. Well, anyways, he captured a ship, the Serapis, and he brought it into a Dutch port. The problem was he had no flag to put it on, and per law, if he came in without a flag, it'd be viewed as piracy, and he had been arrested and likely hung. Well, the Dutch really didn't want to hang anybody fighting the Brits at this point. We're sympathetic to the Brits, but we have to also we're sympathetic to the Americans, but we also got to follow law. Can you guys put something together before you pull into port? So Ben Franklin scribbles out in France what he thinks is the American flag and tells them tells the Dutch, tells John Paul Jones, okay, this is the American flag, make it. This is the result. It is the most colorful American flag you'll ever see. I love it because it's attached to John Paul Jones, because it's attached to Ben Franklin, and it's just a beautiful flag. Just look at all the colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Hey, it even got 13 stripes. It hits the mark. It got the 13 stripes, got the 13 stars. That's all that's really required, guys. It's an American flag. Believe it or not, there really was no proper etiquette on how the American flag was supposed to look, I think, until the 20th century. It was just kind of everybody just kept using the standard flag that is recognized. But I don't think it was till like 1912 when they actually put into law, like, no, you actually have to follow these rigid requirements to be considered an American flag. I miss the 18th and 19th century. In terms of flag design, it's the only thing I miss the 18th and 19th century about flag designs. Oh, geez, where should we put this one? Do you guys have any guesses where we should put this one? It's just like being in New England. I like it. But you know where this is going. We made the whole category for it. The Serapis flag goes into S tier. And also just behold it. Behold its beauty. Behold the beauty of the Serapis flag. It's just a beautiful flag. I hope they flew it after they created it. I hope it wasn't just a one and done deal. And I'd be proud of that flag if you ask me myself. All right. Moving forward. We only got a few more left, guys. We only got a few more left. All right. Next up. Hey, Wrangler, you're going to like this one. We got Trumbull flag, aka the New England flag. So you might remember earlier we were talking about how a lot of New England flags were using. What was I going to say? A lot of New England flags were using the pine tree as symbol for rebellion and stuff, gather around the Liberty Tree, things like that. This is claimed that this flag was flown over Bunker Hill. Again, there's no documentation from the battle that says the flag like this was flying. There's no surviving examples. It was only told about, at least I don't know, it took about a half century before people started talking about this flag. And in fact, at one point, the flag that they claimed was this flag, they made it blue. So you have a myth upon a myth upon a myth in this situation. So this is an unofficial New England Bunker Hill flag that may or may not existed. What do you guys think? It's a sad looking flag. It is. It's the Charlie Brown. It's the Charlie Brown Christmas tree flag. That's what it is. Oh, the evergreen flag. Yay, the fireworks have started. It's cool, but it's still got nothing on the Green Mountain Boys flag. Okay, we won't upset Wrangler when I do this then. Wrangler prefers the Green Mountain Boys flag. He himself a New Englander. The New Englander has spoken. We can put this in poor tier. I'm not a fan of it, guys. I'm not a fan of it. What the hell is that flag? So you can't see what that flag is. I put it in almost as a joke. This is our next flag. Again, more myth than fact. It is claimed that in 1782 that because the French and Americans realized they were going to win the war by this point. It was only a matter of time, and that since they consolidated their forces, they should have a new flag to recognize their consolidation. So the story goes, this was their consolidation flag. It's the stars with a fleur-de-lis. It's very oblong. This is a mistake. This was a mistake. This is one of them. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. Yeah, just for the previous one, just don't work. But what about this one? This was a miscarriage of a flag design. Yeah, I'll use that term on the stream. It's after an hour. Boo, French fleur-de-lis. Boo. Come on, the French helped us out. It was a big part of the war. I always harp on it. Without France's military and naval support, we would not exist as a country today. But it is also France. Yeah, I don't like this flag. I don't. Go down with Benedict Arnold. Go down, hang out with Benedict Arnold. Yeah, it's weird. All right, only a few more to go. This is what's called the Sons of Liberty flag. And there is a historical description of the flag, but the Sons of Liberty was only around for a year or two to protest the Tax Act, but people use the term over and over afterwards. So people make it sound like the Sons of Liberty were around for the whole revolution. No, they were only around from 1765, but people kept their spirit on, and they carried a variety of different flags. Sometimes it was horizontal, sometimes it was vertical, but the standard was it was red and white, 13 stripes. The popular theory is it's the basis of why we have 13 stripes in our flag today, but people dispute that. It's just red and white stripes. The barber's pole flag, as some would say. Mid. I'm going to put it mid because a lot of flags, whether intentional or not, follow what the Sons of Liberty had set up, but it is also just a bunch of red and white stripes. Shorten the blue field or have it stretched all the way down. Yeah, for the French, for the consolidation flag. Mid. It is. I got to get Maskell Jacob Friedman on here saying mid. Yeah, it's mid. All right. So, last two flags. We got the Whiskey Rebellion flag. I know this is not from the Revolution, but I want to talk about it anyways because it's one of the early acts of rebellion by by former patriots. So, I really can't wait for the day I can finally do, and I don't plan to just do one video. I want to do multiple retracing history videos around the Pittsburgh area relating to the Whiskey Rebellion. If you don't know what the Whiskey Rebellion was, in 1791, the new federal government, the U.S. Constitution, decided to impose a tax on whiskey. It was a luxury tax. The idea was, hey, we got to raise money. In places like D.C. and Philadelphia and New York and Boston, whiskey is a luxury item. It's something people can live without. We can put a small tax on it. However, if you go over the mountains out west, here in western Pennsylvania around Pittsburgh, Whiskey was an informal currency. It was a bartering item. It was regularly bartered for goods at markets. So, in a sense, what the federal government, and when I say federal government, I mean Alexander Hamilton, had done was tax currency. Everybody try explaining this first angrily, but just vocally try to explain it back to people in Philadelphia that no, you can't do this. You can't. I said DC. DC was not around at this point. I'm sorry, guys. Blame the Monongahela Rye. I didn't say this was going to be a professional stream. Anyways, they first tried verbally communicating to Hamilton, you can't tax whiskey out here. It's a tax on our currency. Well, Hamilton didn't listen because what do those pesky Pennsylvanians know anything about this? You're going to pay that tax. And then they started hiring tax collectors to take the tax. And what followed next was basically a repeat of what had happened in New England in the 1760s and 1770s. People protested whiskey tax, and talks of secession began, this time from the United States. So the rumor is that this flag, which features an eagle with a ribbon and has stars around it, this was a flag flown by some of the rebels. And there actually was a minor skirmish between former patriots that formed a militia. They fired upon a tax collector's house. The tax collector happened to have been a former officer from the Revolution as well. So it was a pretty tense situation. The problem is, again, no surviving evidence this flag existed. No period documentation. The only thing we got, I think, is that somebody found this old flag that looked nearer to this in a tavern that was from the time period of the Whiskey Rebellion. That was really it. It's a really cool flag. Let me show you a full photo of it, because it's a really cool flag. Even if it never existed, it's just a really cool flag. Yeah, there it is. This is the Whiskey Rebellion flag, the supposed Whiskey Rebellion flag. So it has nothing to do with the Revolution in the sense this is not from the 1770s, but it is part of a kind of a repeat of the Revolution, the beginning of the revolutions, and how the United States dealt with a repeat of the Revolution in its own existence. What do you guys think about the Whiskey Rebellion flag? Yeah, it's a cool flag. Also, it involves whiskey. It involves whiskey. And a lot of distilleries around here in Pittsburgh fly this flag today. It's great. 100%. Raven Evermore. States are passing laws making gold and silver currency again. I don't think they can be taxing those states. I think everybody's going with S tier on this one. And yeah, I love this flag. It's not a Rev War flag, but screw it. S tier. Why is it black? That's weird. And last but not least, what flag this was. Considered to be the very first American flag, although it probably wasn't, and there is so much dispute over the story of Betsy Ross, and I'm going to get into it. I personally don't think I think she's more myth than fact. The lady herself existed, but the whole George Washington chose Betsy Ross and only Betsy Ross create the very first flag. Nah, I don't buy it. I just personally don't buy it, is all. Just because there were already other variants similar to this coming out around the same period. So there it is. The classic Betsy Ross flag, the template of every American flag to follow. Well, of course, guys, you know where this is going. You can't even salute with a tricorn. Of course, that flag's going in S tier. It's the 4th of July. It has to go in S tier. It'd be sacrilege if we didn't. Yeah, I don't think nobody's gonna be upset if I put the American flag in S tier. That's just not how it works. So there it is. There's our rankings. Rev War flags. Filled out a good bit. A lot of good. Some S tier. Decent amount of mid. A couple poor. And the Brandywine flag and the French Consolidation flag can go down with Benedict Arnold. We're going to save that. Save. Now you get to watch me make a name for it. This is the most boring stream, most boring 4th of July. You guys you're spending your 4th of July with me, you crazy people. And I appreciate that. I do legit appreciate that. All right, that's been saved. I'm going to drop a link here. One moment. I'm going to drop a link right now in the chat. If you guys want to go off, make your own, by all means, I will appreciate it. You know, the thoughts just occurred to me. I'm dual streaming on Rumble, by the way. I haven't checked Rumble at all. I'm sorry if you commented on Rumble. I completely forgot. It's been a fun time. Been a fun time tonight. We're not quite done yet. We have one more little thing we're going to do tonight. Okay. I don't think anybody's commented over there. People are watching, though. That's good. That's good. All right. So there it is. It's the Betsy Ross. Has to be. I'm have returned. I'm have returned indeed. So one last order of business. You guys have probably been seeing it all night. So it's time for our cultural shill. I always like shilling something that's just general culture, not really history. I like to unwind. Even stuffy historians like yours truly love to unwind in books, movies, comics, albums, things like that. I didn't really have a certain project I wanted to shill tonight, but I decided, to be easy and to keep in the American spirit, the American dream, building your own success. Let's talk about Fund My Comic. Now, I know a lot of people have done much better videos talking about this, so I'm just gonna blabber my way through and pray that Luke Stone doesn't get mad at me. So this is Fund My Comic, your crowdfunding home for comics and games. Why Fund My Comic? How FMC is different. Aside from our futures, our commitment to this crowdfunding process sets us apart. We love comics and games and are dedicated to seeing great escapism reach everyone. We know how much work it takes to make something, and we are here to make sure everyone from the creator to the fan can walk away with this experience feeling good. What you need to do to launch: plan to succeed, set realistic goals, and connect with the right vendors. It does tend to help. We didn't set out to make a website like this. We just wanted to make a custom environment to crowdfund without algorithms, trust and safety concerns, cancel culture, and exclusion. Most importantly, we wanted to keep more of the money we raised. As we worked to build this, we discovered how many creatives out there wanted a place just like that too. So we began to think on a larger scale. This has not been an easy endeavor, but we know anything worth doing comes with some challenges. An environment that serves the creatives and not the corporations was necessary. This is a place for freedom of expression and fierce independence. This is an all-inclusive creed, and we know that censorship defeats progress. So the work must be done. This became so much bigger than just a safe alternative that was secure and tailored to our own needs. It grew into an opportunity for everyone irresponsive to irrespective to race, gender, sexual orientation, political party, religion, or anything else to tell their stories. That is, we are committed to do. Our commitment. We commit to create an environment that fosters free expression for all people, irrespective of race, gender, religion, political ideology, or sexual orientation, while giving them the chance to keep their independence. Additionally, we believe that it is morally and ethically right to let the ones who do the hard work to raise their fund keep a greater percentage of those funds. We commit to complete transparency with all of our users. We commit to never bow to the cancel mobs who would censor ideas and art based on race, gender, religion, political ideology, or sexual orientation. Every story deserves to be told. We also respect the responsibility we have to our users to moderate and curate this freedom. We commit to always put freedom of expression and your independence of the foremost importance in all of our decisions. If it isn't illegal, we not interfere with your rights to freely express yourself and remain independent. That is Fund My Comic. So this is the new age of crowdfunding, of supporting new projects, independent projects. And this is a featured picks at the moment. We got Bronze Star, Mike Barron, and Pat Broderick. A dark, violent, and thrilling weird western about love, revenge, and supernatural terror from the minds of two legendary creators. We also got over here Scribbles, layout and design works by Kelsey, over a decade of comic book layouts and sketches collected for the Process Junkie, and You, featuring the art of fan favorite Kelsey Shannon. We got AR13L, the Little Mermaid. That's not appropriate for this channel. I know I dropped one swear word today, but I didn't drop the F-bomb. So we're not going there, but you guys know about that. Virtue Single, NPC. Oh, this one's fun. Let's go look at this one. This one's fun. I love this trailer. Hold on one moment. Wait, we got to play the trailer, guys. We got to play the trailer. So hold on one moment. Oh, don't worry. We're going to get back there. Don't worry. I just got to break it off from the rest. Dead air scares all the viewers away. All right, we're back. Of course, we gotta play the video. You gotta love that. You gotta love that trailer. I fell in love with this the moment I watched that on one of the comic book Wednesdays from A Drink of Crazy a few weeks, about a month back. Yes, let's downsize that for a moment. All right, back to the screen. Sorry about that. I just had to play that again. Gotta love that. Gotta love that trailer. So yes, they don't just do comics, folks. They also fund my comic. You can also back card games such as Virtue Single, NPC. Yet another expansion to this hysterical card game no one asked for. Oh yeah, the Greta Thunberg one. Look at all these cards. Captain Fedora, the Brood Matriarch, the Burnout, the Venerable Elder, the Journalist. I gotta get this. I gotta get this sometime. But there's more than just that. We got Private American, another Mike Baron project, the Griffin explosive graphic novel from Eisner winner Mike Baron and comic book artist Richard Bunk, Mythicals, which is on its way. It is in the mail as we speak. It is coming to the studio for Readout Productions very soon. And I'm sure some of you guys watching, it's coming to some of your mailboxes as well very soon. Intergalactic Mercenary Rin, not appropriate for a channel. Not saying I don't like it. Oh, what happened there? Oh, we went backwards. Went backwards in time. That should be a sign I probably should wrap up. Going backwards in time. That's bad. Smokes the Fox 1 and a weaponized werewolf 0. A dope smoking mutant fox takes on the government. Written by two-time Eisner Award winner Mike Baron. Shadow Sentry Second Chance Campaign. Shadow Sentry is an X-Men meets the Matrix superhero team book with a supernatural twist. The battle between Highborn and Hellborn begins here. So, there's going to be a lot more projects that are going to be supported through Fund My Comic very shortly. So, we're going to throw the link down there. If you have not already, be sure to support one of them projects. Or wait till you find one of your choosing. Titan Mouse of Might. Private American is great. Already got my copies. Very good, Raven. Very good. All right. Is there any final thoughts anybody has? Anything you want me to rant about, this and that? Titan looks amazing. It does. Any final thoughts for the good of the order, for the road? It's like straighten my cap one more time. And yes, I am. You guys are probably like, no, it's not on right. It got to be center. No, funny enough, they actually would have worn it cocked like this. Or period correct this way. Or not. Maybe I'm just making it up in my head. Who knows? I can make a lot up in my mind as I go along. I try not to think. It gets me into trouble. Well, unfortunately, I'm a historian, and that's all I do is think. Think about history. Think about the past and how it's affecting the future. And the reason I always shout out random culture stuffs like books, movies, comics, things like that. This is a history channel. I love history. That's the stories I love. The stories of our shared past, because I think it can make for riveting storytelling, just like these comic books and these movies and these shows. But sometimes I don't want to read about the Battle of well, to be fair, I want to read about the Battle of Gettysburg all the time. I don't want to read about historical figures all the time. Sometimes I just want to have fun. Sometimes I want to unwind. Everybody wants to. So I enjoy all sorts of cultural stuff as well. Man, I'm sounding even now. It's just making me sound more alien. I enjoy cultural stuff as well, fellow human. Beep bop beep boop beep. Yeah. So that's why we do them shout outs, just because there's more. There's a lot to life. There's a lot of good storytelling. History is just one way of storytelling. It's just a story of our shared past. There's other storytellers out there. They are able to create the stories in their minds, where I tell the stories of this crazy crap that happens in real life. Sometimes fact can be stranger than fiction, believe me. I come in peace. Indeed I do. Indeed I do. Take me to your leader. Well, guys, we're hitting the hour and a half mark. Before I go completely off the rails, I think it's time we wrap up. But not before. Yeah, we're going to do one more. 247th anniversary of the United States of America. Pour a little bit there. Perfect. Again, West Overton, Monongahela Rye Whiskey. Good stuff. 247 to the U.S. Hopefully we can get to the 250th, and hopefully we can survive for 250 years thereafter. Woo! All right, guys. That's the end of the stream. You know what's coming next? Yep. 247 years, woo! With a whole bunch of crazy flag designs. And a lot of people spent this day in traffic jams getting $1.76 gasoline. Truly the American spirit. Oh yeah, Castellator is completely crazy one of these days. I think they do have a movie in production about it. Because in reality, the improbable is possible. Dun, 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 dun. All right, I'm going to let the music crescendo. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will have a regular stream on Thursday, so this ain't gonna. We're back on regular schedule, so regular stream Thursday, new episode of Retracing History this Saturday, and be sure to check out the Heterochrome Media podcast, where we matchmake the oddest double features. That's my other channel. We will be uploading a new video, hopefully this Friday. See you guys then.